And welcome back to my channel. So as you guys have seen in my last video where I have did a small demo about our application, like what we are going to create in the UI. So this is how we will start our part 8 video with. So we'll start everything from scratch about how we will set up a project in Angular with Tailwind CSS. Okay, so as you can see that on the left, I have already created my API folder with all my controllers, which is required for this auth series. Okay, so everything is here, but now we will be using our client folder now. Okay, so anyway, the client folder is all empty. So what I will do first, okay, so no need of this client folder, we can delete it. So we can generate it while creating the Angular application. Okay, so once you delete that file, so let's go here in the terminal. So to open the terminal, you can click on here and this terminal will get open. One thing to note that you should be in the folder, in the project folder. Okay, so in the main stack auth, this is my upper level folder, and inside that I have my API, and now inside that I will be creating my new folder, which is client. Okay, so to create a new project in Angular, so we have to use this command ng new, and the application name we will be giving it as a client, because this is inside main stack auth series. The project name is main stack, and inside that this is a client project, so that's why I'm not giving any other name. So this is very much easy to understand. Okay, and again we will be using the latest Angular, which is Angular version 16. So we are not going to use the module way of designing, so we will be using standalone components. Okay, so the whole project will be based on standalone APIs, what is there in the latest feature of Angular. Okay, so to install a new application, to install a new app in standalone, you just have to say ng new client standalone is equals to true and hit enter. Okay, and this will again ask you the same thing. Would you like routing? Say yes. Would you like the styling as a CSS? Say yes. And this will generate the new project for us. So let's just wait for it until everything is getting installed in this folder. So as you can see, after waiting for about 1 or 2 minutes, my project dependencies are installed successfully. All the packages you can see here, it's installed. Now what we need to do, we have to go in the project directory by saying cd tab, and then you can say cd client. So let's go in the client folder now, and you can just hit the command ng serve. Okay, after sending it, just say it no, because it will take some analytic data, so we don't want to share anything. And now this should serve the application on localhost 4200. Okay, let's open this. As you can see, our client app is running successfully. All right, now let's go in your VS Code again, and let's see what we get in the client folder. So you can see everything is there, and you will see some slight changes in the project directory. Like now we don't have any like any app module, because now that app module has been replaced by our new standalone APIs. Okay, so now if you see, we have this standalone as true, which has imported the common module and router outlet. Okay, so this is what we are going to use in our application. So I'm very much excited about this standalone, and I will be so happy to teach you guys like how these things actually works in your production build ready. Like whenever you're working in an actual project where we are using the standalone. So let's see what kind of challenges we will face while creating this application. Okay, because this is not the same old way what we were developing it since last maybe 3 4 years. Okay, now let's create our folder structure first. So I will be adding something here in this app. So in this app, I will be having components folder. So let's create those components. And then I will also have pages. So in the pages, like I will have login page, register page, home page, all those. So component will have all the shared component like header, footer, and like books, card, and all those. Okay, so in this shared components, and I will also have services for doing the API call. So let's create the services folder, and I will also create a validator. So suppose we will be using any custom validators, as you have shown that confirm password was a custom validator, it is not given by Angular team, so we will have to create some our own validators. So for that, let's create this new folder validators. Okay, so once we have all these things created, now what we need to do, right? We have to just create our new, like all the components which is required. So I will go in this pages, right click over there and open in integrated terminal. Okay, all you need to do is now you just have to install, like you just have to add all the components which is required. So in the pages, we will say that we will have around 3 4 components. So ngg for generate, c for component, and login. Okay, so as we are using this Angular schematics, we are using the CLI provided by Angular. So whatever component we will create, all of them will be standalone because this is a standalone project. Okay. So the new one will be ngg for generate, c for component. Component name is register. Okay. And then I will create another which is ngg for generate, c for component. The component name is reset for reset password. And now the another one will be forget password. So ngg for generate, c for component. We'll say forget password. Okay. So login, register, reset, and forget password. Okay, also I need the home page, right? Once the login is success, I want to go to the home page. So for that, ngg for generate, c for component, and home. So now I can see I have my 5 components created, which we will be using in this auth project. And in the components, again, let's right click on the component and open it in the terminal. So in the components folder, we will have to create 2 components, which is header and footer. So let's create those, and those two will be common components. That's why it is in the components folder. So ngg for generate, c for component. The component name is header. Same I have to create for footer. So footer. Okay. And now I can see all my folder structure and necessary components and pages are created for our project. Okay. So now as I have promised that I will not be using Angular material or Bootstrap. So we will be going with the Tailwind CSS and we will see the magic of Tailwind CSS in our project. Okay. Now to install the Tailwind CSS. Okay. So before that we can close these two terminal, which is pages and component. Okay. Now let's open up a new terminal in the client. Okay. So you have to go in the client. Yes. Make sure that you are in the client directory. And this is very, very, very important. You should be in the client directory. Okay. Now let's go on the website called as tailwindcss.com for Angular. Okay. So you can see, right, these 2 commands we have already did. So no need of this. We have to directly go to this one, which is installing the Tailwind CSS. So copy this first command and go in the terminal and just paste it. Okay, let's paste it here. npm install -d Tailwind CSS, post CSS, and auto prefixer. So this will install these 3 packages in the dev dependency. That's why we have this -d. And if you go in the package.json, so one thing to note here, in the dev dependency, you can see your Tailwind CSS, port CSS is added, and this auto prefixer. Okay, so once these 3 packages added, now we have to call npx tailwind css init. So let's run this command as well. Okay, so this guy will create a new file here, tailwind.config.json dot sorry .js, and now we have to copy paste the same thing inside that. So let's do this, copy paste it. Let's go here, let's minimize this and paste it here. Okay, so this guy basically what it does, right, is just add the content, like what kind of content are we are targeting it to apply our css whatever css we will use of Tailwind. Okay, and we also have to use this in the global css. Okay, so I have copied it, and let's go in your global style.css and you can paste this here. All right, so once you have added all this up, so once these steps are done, so I can say the Tailwind css is successfully installed. Like now you can use Tailwind css in your project. Just to check that if it is working or not, so I can copy this snippet and let's go in your index.html. No, not here, in your app.component.html. Let's remove everything and paste it. Okay, so once you paste this, and let's see if your application is running. Yeah, I can see it is compiled successful. Let's go on the browser. Let's open up the client. You see we are getting hello world. Okay, I think the changes are not applied because, as you know, we are asking for an underline. Okay, so what we will do, let's close this project, stop this project and rerun the project, because we made some changes in the global files like style.scss. So to apply those changes, we have to again restart the application. Once after ng-serve, we can see it is running successful, and now I can see the underline, which means the Tailwind CSS is installed. Okay, just to check one more thing, we can just to say text bg, or I can say text color. Okay, so we have text color red, so we can say text red and we can make it as 500. Save it. Can you see the changes are getting applied, which means my Tailwind CSS is being configured successfully. Okay, now if you're using Tailwind CSS, I'll just give you one help, that you should install this extension in Visual Studio Code, which is Tailwind what we say that IntelliSense. Okay, so you should have this Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. I have added this, and this guy helps me a lot during my development, trust me. And you will see that when I will be creating those header, footer, and everything, how I am using this extension. Okay, now so everything is done. So now we are ready to start doing the styling, and we will start things off with your header component. Okay, so in the header component we will go and add our styles. So basically we are not going to style anything, everything will be handled by Tailwind CSS. So let's see that how we will be able to do. So I'll do everything from scratch just to show you like how things works in Tailwind CSS. So here I will start with my nav, which is my navbar, and I will be using this. Everything will be my classes. So I'll say class and I will give it as width full. Okay, can you see this IntelliSense? This is coming from that extension what we have added. Okay, and let me just give it a background. I'll give a background color by saying BG Indigo 500. Okay, let's save the changes and let me show you the changes on the UI. Okay, on the UI, if you go and check, you'll say Shashi, still it is hello world. Why? Because as we have created a header component which is a standalone. Okay, this is a module, a standalone component, not a module, standalone component. So we have to use it inside your app component.html. Correct? So to use it, what we will do, we will have to import. So now we will be importing our components in another component. So if I want to use the header component in my app component, I will have to import it first. So to import it, what I can do, I will just say here header dot component, like header component, and I can see it is imported from the top as well. Okay, after importing it from this location, add it in the imports array. Once you add it here, now we can remove this code and we can say here app hyphen header. Okay, like this. Now if I save all the changes and if I go in the browser, still I'm not able to see anything because I have added a BG and I have added a width, but I haven't specified any height. Okay, so to specify the height, I will have to give something here. So let's go here and let me give a height. So by saying h dash, I can see this is also helping me. What is the height I want to specify? So I want to specify 64 pixel or 64 rem height. Okay, if I save this, I go on. Can you see? I got my header, okay, which is in indigo color. Okay, so this is how easy the Tailwind CSS is. Once you know how to use it, it will be so easy for you to use. Okay, now, but we don't need a height anymore to specify because we will add our content, and based on our content, it will take everything. Okay, like it will take all the necessary height and width. Okay, now what I need to do, I need to first add my logo. So I will say div dot logo, and in the logo I will specify my span. All right, so I have added my logo here, as you can see, right? I have added few classes like text gray, text for Excel, flex, justify, start, and item center. Okay, so I have used all this classes, and let me just show how things looks here. I can see I have this header ready. Okay, now what I will do, right? First of all, I will have to specify some padding to my navbar. So here I will go in this class, I will say padding of 5, which is 1.25 rem. Okay, so it gives me a good padding. And I also want to make it as like, if I want everything in the center, so I can do that by using flex also, but for now I think it is okay. Now what I will do, right? I want to specify some shadow as well to my header. So for that, I'll just use a class which is shadow lg, and once I add, I can see a shadow is added just below this header. If you see, if I make it as shadow 2xl, can you see it's very much visible now? Okay, so it's up to you how much you need. You can just change it, the css, and change the class, and you can use it however you like. Okay, now let's create the another thing, which is the search section. Okay, so we have a search bar as well, so we will create the search bar. All right, so I have added my search section as well, which is looks something like this. Okay, so this is what my search look like. And if you see here, right, so I have added a div with, I have a class here with the search, and I've added as a relative. Okay, and inside that I have my input. Okay, so input, and I added a placeholder. I added some classes as well. I'm giving a width of 96. I'm giving some padding, so padding left, rounded on the right should be none, and I put as text gray 600, so that whatever text I'm writing inside this, it should have a gray color. Okay, now once I added that, right, I also want to add an icon here as a search. Okay, so how I can add that? To add it, right, so I will have to use my font awesome. So let's go here on the font awesome link. If you go font awesome w3 schools, so you will get some url from there. So let's go font awesome here and copy this, and you have to use it inside your index.html. So I will put it here. Okay, save the changes, and now you should be able to use font awesome. So let's go on the font awesome website. I'm using version 4.7. Okay, I want to use a search icon, so let's search. Yeah, this one is okay. So let's copy this guy and let's add it somewhere here. in the header, just above the input. Okay, so once I add this, right, I want to add this in the inside a span tag so that I can style it. So I have added it, and let's give some styling to it. Let's see how it looks for now. Okay, let's go here. I can see this is going outside of this, so I want to make this inside. Okay, so that's why I added this relative. Okay, so to make it inside, right, so let me add some classes to this span, and I will say that this should be my absolute, and I will give margin top of 1.5, which is 0.73 rem, and I will give margin x as 3. Okay, let's save the changes and let's see how it looks. So can you see it comes here inside this? And now I can also change some font color and font weight and everything by saying font light. So font light, so that it should be a little bit thinner. Yeah, okay. And everything looks good to me now. Now the only problem is, right, I want this in the center. Okay, but before that I want to create a login and register as well, so which is my nav items. So this is what I'm going to create now. So let's create the nav items by saying div dot nav items. Okay, and in the nav items, right, I will have my spans, okay, which will be for login, register, and all those links. So let me create my span tag, and this will be my login. Same I have to create for register, for cart, for welcome, and also for the logout. So login, register, cart. This is for my welcome page, welcome user, and this will be my logout. Okay, so I want to apply the same, somewhat same styling to all of them. Somewhat it will be same. So let me add it like this. So let me add it together. So we can use that by clicking here on Alt. So once you click on Alt, everything gets selected together, and you can write the same styling to all of them. Okay, so I have to give them text Excel. Okay, text Excel, which is font size of 1.25 rem. Okay, and next thing I want to tell them that cursor pointer, so that whenever I hover my cursor, it should be as a pointed finger. Okay, and then I want to apply some text gray 200, which is somewhat white color, and it should be text bold. Okay, and I think this is not text bold, this is font bold. Yes, correct. And I can give some margin to all of them by saying margin as 3. Okay, whenever I will hover on them, so whenever I hover on them, I want to get the underline. Okay, and whenever I hover on them, I want to give them underline color, which is text indigo 300, or I can give 200, which is a little bit lighter. Okay, and once I added all of this, I can save the changes. Okay, so once you save the changes, this is how it looks like now. Okay, now I want to arrange them on the right hand side. So this should be on the left, this should be in the center, and this should be on the right. So to do that, what I will use, I will make use of flex. Okay, so I can specify here to the main parent as flex, and this should be justify between. Okay, and the items should be center. So align item center is item center. Save all the changes, and you can see, right, I have this header created successfully with this search icon. We can search, you can click on search to do anything. Okay, so in this way we have created this header. We have login, register, cart, welcome user, and logout. Okay, the header is ready. Now let's create our footer in the same way. How? Let's see how we create the footer. Okay, so I'll go in the footer and I will start writing my code. So let's add the class as, again, this will be width as full, and the position will be fixed. So I say fixed, so which is position fixed. Bottom will be 0, and I will give a bg gray, of 300 or 500. It's all up to you, what you like. Okay, based on your liking. And I will specify a span tag which will say the copyright. So we are creating a mean stack auth. So mean stack auth copyright, or whatever it is. Okay, and we can add some styling to this by specifying text as white color. Okay, we can specify the height as well by saying 7. We can say flex. We can give some margin top to it by saying margin top as 4. We can say justify the item as center, and I'll say items center. Okay, so once I added all these classes of Tailwind, this is how my header should look like. No, but it is not showing. Why? The reason being is, again, right, where you want to show this, you want to show this in your app component, correct? But to make use of that, we have to use selector. Okay, so I'll have to specify the selector here, app footer, which is not, which is throwing error for now. This is throwing error because we have to import now. We have to import because that's footer is also a module, standalone, correct? It's a standalone true. So we have to import it. We have to import it here. So I will say here footer component. So once I added footer component, I can see both of them are working now, header and footer. Okay, can you see now? I have a beautiful looking footer just below here, which is in mean stack auth at the rate 2023. Okay, now I have to create the center content, which is my login, register, and all of those. So to do that, right, whenever I click on login, I can see login page, register should see register page, cart should show cart page, welcome user is nothing, just for show purpose, and logout will again redirect it to me the logout page. Okay, so now I will have to do some kind of a routing. Okay, all right. So before that, also I will show you some one of the cool feature of Angular, which was introduced in version 14 or 15. I don't remember, but yeah, now you can use it. It's very stable now, so you can use this feature shorthand just like React. Okay, so now you can make use of this. You can make a self-closing tag like this, and this should still work. Can you see it's still working? My header and footer is still working without any error. Okay, so once your header footer is done, now let's target your login page. Okay, and we will go very slow. We will go one by one. We will target one by one component by creating end to end. Okay, we will not just do the design. We will actually do the design, as well as also we will try to create the API endpoint and everything. All right, so the first thing should be we have to configure all the routing. Okay, so let's see how we can configure routing in your new standalone project. Okay, so if you go here, right, in the folder structure, so if you open up the app, in the app you have app.routes. Okay, and in the routes you have to configure all your routing. Correct. So how you do that in Angular version 15 or like in 13, 14, whatever you have used. So you just specify the path. Okay, so you specify the path. You will say the path is login, and now you say component. Correct. So now you don't need to say component. Now you have to say load component. Okay, you have to say load components now, and in the load components you will have to specify like this. Okay, now you will have to import. I'll say import, and in the imports you have to specify the path. So dot slash, it's present in the pages slash login slash your component. Okay, then you have to say dot then a dot login component. So this is nothing but how you used to do things in your module. Whenever you want to load the module, this is what you should do. But now when it is standalone components, this is what you have to say. Now you have to say load component. Okay, and now I will teach you one trick, like how you can get rid of this line. Okay, this guy. Okay, so what you can do, right, if you go in your pages, if you go in your login component, all you need to do is you just need to make your component as default. Okay, so once you make it as default, you are no need to use this dot then and load your component. You can directly specify it like this. Okay, let's save the changes. Let me copy it and do the same for rest of the component. All right, so I have added it for login, register, forget password, and home for now. Okay, but you can see still we are getting this error for register, forget, and home. Why? Because I have to make all this component also as default. So let's go ahead and make all of them as default. So this will be now my default component, and again I will go in the forget password and I'll make it as default. Okay, I think one more is pending, which is, yeah, home component. So let's go in the home component and let's make this also as default. Okay, so once you make it as default, I can see everything is working fine. I can see compile successful as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and try to configure the routing. So routing is done, and let's try to use it now if the routing works or not. So if I add here, right, like home, I should get home, right? Home works. If I say here login, it should say login work. Why is it not working? Because we have did the routing, but now we have to specify the router outlet. Okay, and that has to be in app component.html. So just below your header and footer, you will add your router outlet. Okay, why this router outlet is working? Because we have already imported. So Angular has already imported this router outlet, and because of this it is not throwing any error, and we are able to import this router outlet. Okay, save the changes, and now you can see, I can see login works. Correct. If I use same for home, it should say home works. If I say for register, it should say register work. And in this way we have seen how we can configure routing in your Angular application. Okay, so that's about it from this video. If you have find this video helpful, so please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more such contents about this mean stack series. And also in the part 9, we will see how we can create the login and register page end to end. When I say end to end, which means we will also see how to integrate the Node.js API, which we have created in our previous part. All right. So I am very much excited about the part 9. So see you guys in the part 9 video. Till that time, bye bye and keep learning, guys.